Hello guys, this is Mike from McProgramming.org. In the last tutorial I showed you how to make a basic Jframe that had Hello World printed at the top, and that's pretty much just a box with nothing in it. And inside here is what's called a container, and we want to add stuff to that so it's a functional program. So I'm going to show you how to make a new class that extends Jframe so we don't have to mess with all of this within the main method. So let's create a new class, and we can just call it frame if we want. Some people like to call it main frame. We'll say extends Jframe. Okay, so let's import Jframe. You're going to do, when you mess with these GUIs, you're going to have a lot of imports. So if you want to not have to import stuff every time, what we can do is go to import javax.swing and then put a asterisk right there, and then it will import everything from that class. And the same with import java.awt, and that way we won't have to constantly import one thing at a time. So the way this works is we're going to have a constructor public frame, and to title this, just as we have here, we're going to say super dot and then hello world. So super, or actually not dot, we're going to put in parentheses, and we don't have to say hello world, we'll just say my app. How about that? Alright, and we can get rid of this, and we should keep all of this because this will go with what we need in here. Put this kind of closer to the bottom. And now that we have Jframe as a parent class, we don't need to have this reference frame to it anymore. We can just write the method out. Let's make the size just a little bit bigger so we can make sure everything fits on here. And I actually do like to have this set default close operation, one of the first things, and also set size. And the first thing we want to really know about is what a layout is. And when you set up this GUI box, let me show you how to instantiate this now. First, we want to do, this is a good practice. It doesn't have to make sense right now, but you're going to want to say swing utilities, and it's a static reference, and say dot, let's spell that right, swing utilities dot invoke later. Alright. Class swing utilities. Oh, I spelled that wrong, sorry. Utilities. Okay. There we go. Alright. And now we need to create a new runnable, and right here we're going to end it. Okay. So basically what we've done here is we say a static reference to swing utilities dot invoke later, and we create a new runnable class, which is similar to a thread. And for this application it won't matter, but for bigger applications where threads might be running, it's important to use this as a backup so your program doesn't get hosed up. But it's good practice to get into coding it this way. And inside this run method, we're going to instantiate a new frame, and we can say new frame, and that's all we need to do. We could say frame and then give it some variable name equals new frame, but that's not necessary in this case. We can just say new frame. Let's see what happens when we run this. Okay, so we got pretty much the same thing going on. It doesn't say hello world, but it is bigger and it says my app. Okay, so now we want to worry about the layout, where things are within that container. And I have a web page right here by Oracle, and great for learning a lot of Java tutorial stuff straight from Oracle. And this has a visual guide to what the layout managers are. Border layout's very important. I'll probably use that to put some buttons somewhere, and where to put text panels and J panels and everything. There's box layout, card layout. Card layout is kind of things stacked on top of each other. And flow layout is pretty popular. Flow layout is the default layout manager for every J panel. And then grid bag layout is very flexible. It's hard to get used to how to use it because you're messing with coordinates and putting weights on those coordinates, but if you get the hang of it, you can really set up a really nice layout and have all the buttons and every other component exactly where you want it. And there's grid layout, and those are the main ones you're really going to worry about. But let's go back. I'll put a link to this website in to the right of the video. So let me see, where's my line? There's Eclipse. Alright, so instead of instantiating buttons and things down here, we're going to want to have private references up here to not necessarily initialize, but to set up the variables. But let's set a layout right now. So the way to set up a layout is say set layout, and we're going to say new border layout. Okay, whoops, new border layout, and we need parentheses right there. And I want to add private J button. We'll just call that button just so it's easy to reference. And then we're going to say private J say J label, and we're going to have a private J panel, and that's going to be our container that's going to hold all of these components, and we'll just call that panel. Okay, and maybe we'll have a text area, private J text area. If you notice, most of the components start with J and then describes what it is. So I'm just going to say text area. Okay, and whoops, didn't mean to say equals. Alright. I'm going to get rid of this border layout for now. I might come back to it because I want to instantiate a J panel. So the way to do that now is to say panel equals new J panel. And what we're going to want to do is the panel, if you look on this, is this thing right here. And we want to add button, a label, and a text area on it. So maybe I will say press this button, and then I'll have a button right here, and below it I'll have a text area. So let's do that. Let's instantiate a label first, and the way you do that is say label equals new J label, and in here we can write what we want the label to say. And then what did I want it to say? I wanted it to say press the button to the right. Alright, and now we can instantiate a button. And we can also instantiate this stuff up here, but so when you create a frame, it will create all those things, but I just put in the constructor because the constructor is the first thing that runs anyways, and then it's created. So it doesn't really matter which way you do it. I'll say new JButton, and you can add text on this as well. You can also add a picture if you wanted, like a little emblem. And let's say click me. Alright. And we are going to, let's say panel.add, and we will add the label, and we're going to add the button. Alright, and I actually do want to do a border layout. I see what I want to do right now. So let's say set layout. I'm going to say new border layout. Okay, and now to add the panel to the actual frame, what we're going to do is say add panel, and with a comma we're going to say border layout dot north, because I want this to happen at the top of my frame. And let me see what that looks like right now. It's always a good idea to debug your programs as you're programming, and just every time you add something new, run it and see where it's at, just so you don't write a bunch of code and you had made a mistake far back and it's hard to backtrack. So always run your code. So see, right now I have this and I have it up in the north. I could also get it over here a little bit with combining it with other layouts, but for right now this will do. And now I want to create the text area. So we're going to say text area equals new JTextArea. Okay, and what we're going to do here is we're going to say add text area. I'm going to say border layout dot center, and this, let's see what happens when I run this. Okay, so by saying center, it pretty much takes up everything. Since I don't have a west or an east or a south, it will take up the rest of this box. So I can type anything I want in here, and this is quite an ugly application so far, but you're getting the hang of what things do and how to place them. There's ways that you can, edit the font size, the style of the buttons, all types of things that we will get into later. And was that all I wanted to cover in this? Yeah, so this was a second tutorial in GUI, and the next tutorial I'll clean this up a bit and I will show you some event handling, to where when I press this button I want text to appear down here. So please continue watching and subscribe to my channel. Thank y'all for watching.